Ink Sync versus Nyan, Neko, Sugar Girls. We're going to get this right underway right now. We are in the silver pool bracket, whatever you want to call it. We are in Swiss. Round 2 here between these two teams. Let's see what we've got.
Let's
Ball
see.
point? No ball point.
Ooh, Dynamo.
It's like playing Duck, Duck, Goose. Ball point? Ball point? No ball point.
I really like this Dynamo pick, though. Dynamo for clams is something that I have loved from the beginning. I think it was meta for a little while. It's kind of fallen out of that a little bit, but it's still a very, very strong pick, and I think that it's a great opportunity to see what you can do with it.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how that Dynamo plays in. Of course, it's going to be able to get a little bit more of an ink presence, but he is going to go down to the Vambu right now. It's starting to look like 20 PP over here somehow. 3-down situation now on the side of Nyan, and so we'll see if Ink Sync can go ahead, collect enough clams, and maybe think about making a push. They're starting to get to the point where their specials could be useful. They're going to throw a couple more clams in front of the basket where they can get to them a little bit later. Looks like 3-down situation. Pickles is going to be the last one up, and he is going to go down. It's not going to have that ink support there, so that will not be a push, unfortunately, for Ink Sync.
Pick less, not pickles.
All right, well.
That's what their name said. Oh no, it does say pickles. So what was I thinking? Pick less. That's me.
I mean, to be fair, they both look similar.
Yeah.
In any event.
And that's what I was like, wait a second, why would you name yourself Pick Less? Like, you're not getting any picks. But either way, they are getting some picks here. Vic, beautiful shot right there. Gets the first break of the game, getting that barrier in, and is able to kind of continue that push for a little while. Vic's right under that basket, popping the booyah, going to allow some cover for the rest of the team to push in here, gather these clams that have not made it into the basket, and just cause a nuisance for Ink Sync.
The amount of time that Nyan was sitting at that barrier was a long amount of time. Now, granted, they didn't have exactly probably the number of clams to make that as optimal as possible, but it was definitely annoying for Ink Sync to get them out of there. They've definitely played it smart by sitting a little bit back, closer to that first bridge towards the middle of the map, but they definitely played that well. Down to the 56-point mark. We'll see what Ink Sync can go ahead and respond with now, 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a lot of time here, and Evie over here does get a barrier break in, and they get another one in. They just need 2 clams. There we go. They are able to take the lead, but it does get defended and cleared out pretty quickly, so that's going to take a little more time for them to come back from that.
Yeah, and that's only a power clam and 2 deficit, so I imagine that we're going to see a likely chance of Nyan being able to pull that one off. I just want to say morning to Tudos. He pinged me on Discord earlier. Halfway point now through this game. And yeah, we'll see exactly if we can get a couple more clams on the side of Nyan. They have a power clam at the ready, but Pickles on this side is going to be a little bit of a pain with that Bamboozler. Jimmy going to be able to use that ball point to one of its advantages, having that range capability as well as the short range, but he is going to get picked up by LJ. That's going to be a 2-down situation now for Nyan. Probably the end of that push now as Ink Sync starts to clear out their base, going to defend this clan, make sure no one gets up to it, and that will indeed be the case. 150 left to go now, and still pretty even.
Yeah, absolutely. I think LJ, is applying a lot of pressure here and using this positioning to their advantage a little bit by causing a distraction for that ball point. As you mentioned, its range is optimal for what you want here. So I think being able to use themselves as a distraction is going to help their team out. But most of the map here is purple, so they do have quite a bit they need to go in order to gain some map control.
Yeah, definitely the map control for this Ink Sync side is going to help them defend this for as long as possible. You can also know they're not exactly like committing to make a push too quick. If they don't want to make a push too early here, because that would give a free power claim to the other side, and so they're waiting to make this push, and it looks like now they're starting to come in. They don't have a power claim quite at the ready, but that's going to be a 2-down situation as Evie gets a couple of picks. Satan's going to be able to plan the jump in. 3-down situation. That's going to be 2 power claims in, extending this lead for even longer. We'll see if they can close out the game here. They are extremely close, 5 claims away. Jimmy's going to try to rush back to mid, but I don't think he's going to have enough time because now there's enough ink in front of that barrier for Nyan to be able to defend this, and indeed the barrier will go back up.
Yeah, I think that was a really great push from them. I really appreciated how they were thoughtful enough to back off instead of getting wiped, because it does allow them to push back in much faster, and they maintained a lot of the turf control that they had in mid. So it will get them a good shot to push forward again and possibly knock this out. But Nyan needs to be very careful in terms of trying to make sure that they can defend this and get a counter push going here.
13 seconds left to go in this match. 3-down situation. We'll see if Nyan can get a power climb up at the ready and force overtime. That's a full wipe. They should be able to do just that. Power climb is up, so there will be a couple seconds of overtime left. They're trying to get in, but so is Inksync. The jump comes in. LJ's going to find the basket. Will they have enough clams? I don't think they have enough at the moment.
I don't
there
think so
might be
either.
enough sitting around, but Satan's going to be able to be a little bit more of a nuisance here. Drifts can't quite find his way in with that Bamboozler. Is going to go down in that 2v1 situation, and we're going to see a couple jumps in, but it's too little, too late. And Inksync are going to be the ones to take game one.
Yeah, I think that they did a really great job there, you know, defending that push. They were able to kind of shut it down very quickly, even with some of the jumps coming in. You know, they didn't quite have enough clams to continue and knock that out, and basically that was sort of what they would have needed to do.
And to be fair, you know, they didn't have a lot of time to collect all the claims that they needed. When they got that wipe, it was a little bit of a delayed wipe, and so the rest of the members of Inksync were able to come back in, defend their basket, and then they were able to, you know, go from there in terms of minimizing the amount of claims that Nyan, Neko, Sugar Girls could pick up.
Yes.
So excellent play from them. Again, like I mentioned, even waiting to make Inksync's second push later in the game and not, you know, jumping the gun, so to speak, on that one, definitely played in their best interest. But now we'll see what can happen here on Splat Zones on the Reef. This is going to be where we're heading off to next. What do you think about that one, Melissa?
I mean, I think that that's kind of a more straightforward map. It's a staple, right? It's the Splatoon 2 staple, Splat Zones on the Reef. Lots of things. We can talk about this map kind of ad nauseum. Holding the bridge is what you want to do. Making sure that you have complete control over how the zones are spread out. You're kind of holding down that middle. But I think anything can happen. I think from what we saw from that Clan Blitz map match, they're very evenly matched up. Yeah, I think that the teams are going to just kind of bring their best and be able to hold it down.
Yeah, you know, you talked a little bit about how Splat Zones on the Reef plays overall. You know, we can talk about, do you want to go for control of the bridge? Do you want to go for control of the zones?
Yes.
You have those two different options there. You probably don't want to split up both. So it'll be interesting to see exactly which team goes for which, how their composition, how their weapon composition plays into that.
Yes.
All of those pieces factor into how you play this. You know, it doesn't look that complicated, but in reality, when you start when you start playing the BOD at 0.25 speed and you start like really going through the motions of everything that's happening, there is a lot to unpack.
There certainly is, and I think, you know, in terms of specials, some of the strongest stuff that we can see are baller, bubbles, you know, even a sprinkler as a sub could be really good if you can place that under bridge and make sure that it's constantly like hitting those zones over and over again. Very helpful. So.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they're able to bring out, and I'm excited to see how this is going to shape up.
Yeah, should definitely be exciting. Of course, we've got a couple seconds left as our players continue to lock in their weapon picks overall.
I like the discussion that you can kind of tell is happening too. You know, Pickle's figuring out what they want to be playing. Vic obviously figuring out what she wants to be playing. So I think that it's gonna be really good, and we saw from that last game that both teams are able to take what they want when they're in a position to do so, and we're gonna see that again in Splat Zones on the Reef.
Right, exactly, and so we'll see exactly how that all plays out. I don't know if you can hear the game audio, but we certainly can.
Yeah.
That means we're starting into the game now. Game 2 coming up next between these two teams. I still think this will go either way. We'll see exactly what happens.
I think it can too. I think, you know, the Reef is a great opportunity to show what they can do. So here we go, going into this. All right, I like seeing the Dynamo back again. I think it's going to be able to cover zone quickly. Explosher is one I wasn't totally expecting, but I'm looking forward to it.
What I'm curious to see about the Explosion, I imagine it's probably going to sit on either of the two sides of the bridge. It's probably not going to spend a lot of time on bridge unless they're going for like a solid hold. I'm expecting the Explosion to put a lot more ink onto the zones, because that's one of the things that Explosion is best at, and Dynamo as well, as a matter of fact. You know, you're not seeing many traditional backlines so much in this comp, but looks like they're going to be able to get enough ink on the zone, and that Explosion is going to be able to move forward a little bit here now as Nyan goes ahead to take the lead. And look at how much blue ink they already have closer to their opponent's base.
Yeah, that was a really nice early lead. You know, they pushed it into a 3-down situation. That last person had to be very careful in terms of where they want to position. but coming right back, InkSync is able to neutralize the zone. Pickle's pushing in on the side over here. I think that this is going to be the cap here, K-Bot. They are able to get it and at least put a good-sized penalty, and now they're focusing on taking that bridge and making sure that Nyan can't get quite back in as quickly as they want to.
LJ was coming back into zone. I don't know if he was completely handled. InkSync is going to be able to take back the zone for the time being. We'll see exactly how much longer they can hold on to this. Is 2 down on both sides. Satan's going to try to come back up here and be a little bit more of a nuisance on their opponent's side. And now we're starting to see the teamwork aspects come in as Nyan pushes forward together. They're going to go ahead and take bridge first and hopefully try to drop down to either side. The lead is going to go to InkSync for the time being, but a Booyah Bomb comes into one of the zones. Eevee just narrowly avoids it as the Dynamo drops down as well. Satan went down. Booyah Bomb coming in a second time for this blue side, but it looks like they're able to maintain the amount of ink on the zone. 3-down situation, and InkSync is going to do an impressive hold.
Yeah, that was a really, really beautiful cap and hold. You know, they defended it so well. They had to push Nyan Neko back very far, and it's going to take a lot of time for them to get in. I'm not quite sure how much time they have for a coordinated push. This might have to be this, you know, less clean way. They are able to neutralize it if they can cap. They do cap. Great job right there, even with 9 points left.
But it's worth noting right now that InkSync did have control of the bridge overall, so they're not really going to be dislodged per se from this area. They're going to go ahead and take back both those zones, but at the very least, that penalty was applied when both zones were capped, and so now this game is going to go on for a little longer. Nyan bought themselves a little bit more time in order to get back in here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vic going down with that Booyah is not going to help. You know, really what they wanted is to be able to use that as quickly as possible, but it still will push InkSync back a little bit, so they have to retreat into the pit and back from the bridge a tiny bit. The flanks are coming out as well. 2-down situation from them here. Oh, beautiful, beautiful trade.
Excellent trade there. 3-down situation on the side of InkSync. We'll see if Nyan can cap on this. It looks like Jimmy, as a matter of fact, is going to back up, take a little bit more of a conservative positioning on that splatter scope, and so actually going to go ahead and pop Bomb Rush. And we'll see exactly how this plays out. Drift is going to go ahead and try to drop onto this zone. They're going to go ahead and cap this for the time being, but they don't have enough of an aggressive hold on these zones for the time being. I imagine InkSync's just going to be able to come back in here and take them right back.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is really going to go back and forth. You know, having that Explasher is very strong for the pressure that it can apply, and they are able to cap the zones pretty quickly when they can, but it took them a long time to do it just there when they only had one member of InkSync up, so it would have been to their benefit to kind of hold on to that much faster. At this point, I think they're going to do whatever they can to defend. You know, Vic is in a good position to launch a Booyah as soon as some of these members start dropping in. One does get past her defenses, but here it comes. I was waiting for it. I'm like, the moment that comes out, it does come out and keep them off zone for a little longer. It just needs to come out of that neutral state.
I will say the interesting thing is, like, I don't even know where the members of InkSync are going to be approaching from. Some of them are approaching from different sides. They're trying to split up these members of Nyan as best they can, and they think that's their best shot at getting in the zone, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the ticket for the time being. 47 seconds left to go. We'll see if Nyan can take control of this zone. We're trying to keep as much InkSync is, as much yellow ink as possible on their near zone as we start to wind down this block. Ball is going to come in to try to push some of these members of Nyan back. We'll see if they can cap both zones and enforce the penalty. That's exactly what InkSync wants at the time being. There's enough ground given up now that they are able to do just that. And all of a sudden, Nyan's had so much more work cut out for them.
They certainly do. They are able to get the zone back pretty quickly, though. They're getting a couple of picks that are necessary and taking control of bridge while pushing forward. One of the things that I found very interesting in that last push was that a lot of the game was played under bridge, which is not always what we see. So I think that this is going to be a little closer than we're expecting. You know, two members from either team are both up at the same time.
We're in overtime now, but I don't think the members of Nyan are around. All right, this Explasher is back in the zone. That's going to try to push forward as these members of InkSync are going to go back. Pickles is going to pop this Bomb Rush, but he's kind of pushed back as far as possible. Booyah Bomb coming out, but it's going to hit that splash wall and do a little bit of damage. They still need to maintain control of both zones, and they are going to do so for the time being. The ball is going to get popped, and it's going to get slided back on zone. We'll see exactly for how long. Okay, maybe not. The ball is going to go back up the other way. As soon as Pickles saw it, excellent play from Drift to decide to go back down to get that pick. But the zones are both slowly turning back to the yellow side. The Booyah Bomb is going to come back in. That's a 3-down situation.
My
Nyan's going to hold this for the time being. Can they hold it for long enough?
They really, really have to do it. I mean, I was worried that we would maybe run out of overtime here. They need to get it back. Every time it goes back into neutral, they are able to cap it. If they can continue doing it, they might have
Drift
this.
needs to get some ink on this zone with something. The ball is going to come out. They're going to be able to cap this zone.
Oh.
18 seconds left to go. 10. 3 down to the side of Nyan. That is going to be the end of that game. They were so close.
They were so close. You can hear the crowd cheering and clapping. Everybody is so excited to be able to watch that. I think that was an absolutely fantastic game. You know, I'm a little out of words. Really wonderful job from both teams. I think that was so much fun to watch.
Holy smokes. That was a hoot. That was so close.
That was
I
really
need some time.
close.
I need some time to just, like, decompress. I haven't done this whole commentary thing in a while. So, like, the whole, like, it takes a little bit of getting used to.
Understandable. It's a little bit of a workout.
I guess.
Yeah.
Shoot, I thought I was getting a workout and running around the stations. The real workout's here.
Yeah, I would
Sitting
agree.
down.
Speaking of a workout, Black Belly Skate Park.
Specifically,
Rainmaker.
Rainmaker on Black Belly Skate Park, the Splatoon 1 Classic. The fast map that is no longer a fast map. It is now arguably one of the best maps for Rainmaker in this game. Honestly, some people.
I love it.
Some people have been telling me. I've loved it. I've loved it ever since early Splatoon 1.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a player. I'm just a spectator most of the time.
Yeah.
But I love seeing how quick back and forth this can go. You know, it's always fun to watch, you know, on Black Belly, you almost have a straight shot, like more or less. It's not exactly a straight shot, but like it's kind of like you know exactly where that goal is.
Okay.
You know, and so I think that's one of the most interesting things for me is having that like straight line path. You know exactly how far on the map you need to get. I think it's one of those that can go extremely back and forth extremely quickly. From Splatoon 1, even with the changes they made now, even though it's a little bit slower, it's still a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I absolutely agree in terms of fun to watch. I think that it can be a map that can go as quickly as you said, but it can take some time. You have to be really careful because if somebody decides to go up that pipe, it can be defended so well, and then if the Rainmaker is stuck in that position, it can take a long time for another team to run it back. So I think that's kind of my worry a little, is if they decide not to go for that straight path that you were talking about, and they kind of bring it up that right side if you're kind of from spawn. So we'll see what they do decide to do. What I'm happy to see is a Soda Slosher.
There's a Sploosh 7 too.
There is.
A little bit more of a short-range weapon, probably going to go for a little bit more of a skirmisher role, trying to force, try to be in nuance as much as possible, really, with that Sploosh, get a little bit more ink. That could also be the weapon that's going to pick up the Rainmaker more. So we'll see exactly what happens with that on the whole. One go down early on both sides here, and it looks like Nyan's going to have a little bit more control of the exact Rainmaker pedestal, but we're starting to see Ink kind of collapse around it.
I think this is really kind of what you expect to see for the beginning of a Rainmaker game. You know, they took a little bit of time to make sure that they were in control to move forward. Before anything, they are pushing that Rainmaker up that center path, as you talked about, getting so far all the way into the high 50s. And members are going down from Nyan Neko every 2 seconds. So this is going to be pretty tough, but three down on the side of Ink.
3 down on the side of Ink. That'll be the last one there in a delayed wipe. And they were able to get it up to 46, which isn't exactly like the largest score ever. It's a good starting point, but you've got a little bit more of a ways to go if you want to feel comfortable with that push. So we'll see exactly what the side of Nyan can go ahead and respond with. LJ is going to get called out by Pickles, and it's just going to go straight down. Rainmaker is going to reset for the time being. Smart play on the whole if you are Nyan, but right now Ink has control of this mid area.
Certainly do, and you know, they're doing a good job kind of defending right here. I like this sort of 1v1 that keeps happening. Oh, that Dynamo really pushes Pickles out of where they want to be here. Vic is pushing this Rainmaker. No, not quite able to avoid that Stingray.
Yeah, also didn't quite have the amount of turf control from the rest of her team pushing her forward. You know, the Rainmaker is great, but it doesn't really paint the best, or it paints extremely slowly. So gotta watch out for that now as Inksync is gonna go ahead and push this up. They're gonna take it down their half pipe and see how far they can get with this, as Peach is gonna try to stay the distance here with this Dynamo Roller. Is gonna be able to get one, is looking for the Rainmaker itself, and is gonna be able to get it with the help of a teammate. 3-down situation for Inksync. They didn't quite have the total amount of specials to kind of push forward with that push, and they're gonna go ahead and pick this up. I imagine, okay, they are gonna go ahead and let that reset. They're going to try to get, never mind.
I think they were just waiting to have as much ink as they could before they could push it forward.
To be fair, I probably would have had that exact same thought process if I was playing, because the second I saw Inksync there, I was like, oh crap, they're going to take back control in mid. We're going to see the exact same thing that tried to happen last kind of go around here. So we'll see what LJ can do with this. Unfortunately, that Soda Slosher are going to come in clutch, arcing over that wall and able to pick off that Rainmaker. And now it's kind of in an unfortunate position for both teams, really.
This is exactly what I was talking about here. You know, you kind of hate to see when the Rainmaker is stuck up there, but at this point, I think Neko's really doing a good job kind of painting. You know, Drift does launch that hammer, doesn't quite hit any of the targets that maybe he was going for, but Inksync is not really able to get the Rainmaker from where they want, and they do go one down, but they pop a Stingray to kind of hold off this push a little bit.
One down situation on both sides. Nyan is going to try to pop this Rainmaker and get forward. There are 3 members of Inksync waiting for them right there, and the same amount of green ink is right near that Rainmaker. They're going to try to throw bombs to get them away, but I don't think they have enough pressure to keep Inksync away from the time being. They're going to be forced to back away from this Rainmaker, and it's going to reset. That's pretty unfortunate if you are Nyan.
Yeah, I think that Inksync did a fantastic job making sure that they couldn't quite get close enough as they wanted to, but they're keeping up the pressure on their side as well. I think Pickles is in a good position every time they're trying to kind of hold this area down. They are able to get out that shark, though. Beautiful, beautiful pick. Really smart. Living in this tiny little bit of ink, just waiting for someone else to drop down. Not quite going to get the pick that they want.
You know, a lot of the time we talk about in Splatoon, or at least I like to talk about more of a conservative defense, and that's exactly what I think Inksync performed excellently there. They were able to stay back from a range, but now they're going to try to push forward and get a couple more points to the board. They're not going to be able to do so right there. Shut down by Peach. 45 seconds left to go in this game. Can Nyan bring it back to keep this set alive? It's looking kind of grim for them. I don't think they've had a lot of map control this entire match.
Yeah, I don't think so too. I think that they've been sort of struggling with that and kind of backpedaling a little bit when they do, but they are able to pick up the Rainmaker right now. 2 of them coming together. LJ is going to paint a little bit for Vic, but Vic is going to be stopped by that bomb rush, right? That was the bomb rush, or just 2 really well-placed suction bombs?
Those were some pretty evil suction bombs. They were able to pick off the jumps. They were able to pick off Vic, and it looks like Inksync is just going to kind of run this back. They're going to try to get as far as they can, but yeah, that's going to go down. 4 seconds left to go in this game, so Nyan can't go ahead and pop this, but again, there's not a lot of turf control here. There are 3 members up okay, that's step 1, is that splatter scope going down. Nyan's LJ's going to try to push this forward as Peach works with him, but Evie is sitting right there, about to pop that. Drift is going to go ahead and pop Hammer, but left LJ alone. And that is going to be the end of that set.
Yeah, that was pretty rough, though, because Drift couldn't really anticipate that somebody was going to come up from that side and really wanted to kind of pave the way, put up that pressure so that LJ could keep going forward. And, you know, it was just not what they were looking for, but really well played. You know, my prophecy came true yet again, that even though they're not close sets, we've had close games.
They have been insanely fun games to watch.
Yeah, they
overall.
certainly have.